Good morning and welcome to Oakland Creates 2021. I'm so happy you can join us. I'm so glad everyone can join on YouTube and Facebook as well. My name is AV Jetter. I'll be the host for Oakland Creates, and I will start by sharing my screen. We have a wonderful lineup of zine makers and artists, so bear with me as I start the show. Okay, first, I'm just going to go over a quick lineup about what Oakland Creates is and our safe space policy. What is Oakland Creates? Started in 2015 as a way to provide opportunities for Black and Brown artists to showcase their work in a safe space that not only prioritized African, Indigenous, and Latino culture, but that celebrates diversity and sought a fair exchange for creativity and artistic experimentation. Oakland Creates developed into a mini Zinefest comic fest showcasing zines, art, and comics from new and emerging artists in the East Bay, Oakland area, primarily giving space to traditionally underrepresented voices. Oakland Creates also gives space to creators who work to build a conscious, uplifting, and holistic community. And quickly, as I said, we'll go over the safe space contract, and then we will jump right into the artist's work. Oakland Creates is committed to providing a safe space and inclusive environment for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity, expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, and religion. We will not tolerate harassment at Oakland Creates events in any form. Anyone violating the safer space policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of Oakland Creates Art, Comics, and Zine Fest organizers and volunteers. So today we will have work shown by Whitney Sazaki, Gladys Ochoa, Malcolm Johnson, Vanessa Zucker, Joseph Patton, Yoko Oke, and Yael Levy. This is our morning group. We will have an afternoon group with a brief intermission in between where I will give away some awesome prizes. And if you leave a comment, you automatically get a new Oakland Creates sketchbook with the sticker designed by Laneha House. And so we're going to jump right in. First up is Whitney Sazaki, and I will talk just a little bit about who she is. So Whitney is a fourth generation Japanese American artist, zine maker, activist, and podcast producer. She creates work surrounding themes of self-love, rest, relationships, identity, and healing. In her work, she aims to create a sense of community by organizing events, virtual workshops, and festivals. A California native, Whitney has also been involved in the San Francisco Bay Area and Los Angeles art communities as a featured artist, as well as organizer of Santa Cruz Zinefest. In fall 2020, she moved to Chicago, Illinois, where she began to host and produce Building Community podcast with one of her close friends. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, she aimed to use Building Communities as a free, accessible platform that explores different aspects of the Asian American identity. So I'm going to stop sharing and let Whitney take it over.
Awesome. Thank you, AV. Okay, can everyone see it? Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney. It's great to see everyone today. If you see me table at Zinefest of the past, many of you know me as Whitney Romberg, but I'm actually in the process of adopting my mom's maiden name, which is Sasaki. And so hopefully I'm going to get that legally changed this year, but I have to get used to seeing it like in my artwork as well as like everywhere else. So I'm going by Whitney Sasaki now, which is exciting for me. Like Avi said, I'm a Japanese American artist, zine maker, and podcast producer. And I live in Chicago now, but I love California and I miss it very much. Throughout my PowerPoint presentation, you'll see some QR codes, and that is just to make things a little more accessible. So you can just like scan things with your smartphone. This particular one is going to lead to my Instagram page, but if for some reason you don't have a smartphone or if you can't get the QR codes to work, just type in Whitney Kitty Art and you'll find all my artwork there. So a lot of my artwork surrounds themes of self-love, relationships, and healing, particularly for queer women of color. I'm a queer person as well, and so I'm all about creating cozy, colorful spaces that I see as safe spaces. Because I live in a new state, I'm in a place that actually has seasons, and so I'm excited to get to know the different parts of nature that Illinois offers and the Midwest offers. So this is one of my newer drawings with, I was really inspired by the color changes that fall brings, and I'm all about queer joy and colorful clothes and mountain ranges and all of that. Sometimes my work is slightly humorous, where I also identify as an introvert. And so I've noticed that a lot of self-help books, it teaches introverts or tries to teach introverts how to act more like extroverts. And that's my experience. And so I was like, oh, what if there was a positive book for introverts? And so I drew this picture that inspired that. And then this is another sample of my work. Sometimes I take quotes from people that I know. This particular quote is from a friend that taught it to me, and she grew up with it. And so she passed it on to me. And so I was like, oh, I should make a piece of that. So sometimes I take things from my life and create them into work. So I'm really excited. Today I have some zines as well as stickers to share, and all of that you'll see on my Etsy shop just for efficiency. This QR code goes to my Etsy shop. If you can't do that, just type in Matchy Cats Press, all one word, and that's inspired by my cats, Rose, Quartz, and Pearl. My zine series, Strength and Softness, is basically a series of diary comics as well as illustrations that I create. And they're not cohesive, but they're like snippets, kind of slice of life pieces. So this one is issue 3. And this one is issue 4. Issue 4 was created at the height of the pandemic when there was a lot of anti-Asian racism in the news. And so this is, I like to call it my Stop Asian Hate issue. I've also created a zine. This one's about a year old now, and it's about what it means to be an Asian artist. So when I get interviewed, usually it's people say like, oh, what's it like to be a queer Asian artist? And so I answer it here. This last one over here is a little different in a sense that it's not necessarily about my identity, but it's about one of my favorite drinks, which is coffee. And so these are different types of coffee that I had throughout my childhood. And I'm working on a companion zine that I'll hopefully release next year that's about how I enjoy coffee now, because the way I enjoyed coffee as a child and as a college student is different how I enjoy it now. Stickers are a huge part of my work. I love that it's a cool, affordable way to access art. And also, like as a 90s kid, I love stickers. So these are a few sticker designs that I have in my Etsy shop, but there's like plenty more designs that are available. This one is inspired by the Bernie Sanders meme. I still think it's hilarious. I also create stickers that hopefully give a piece of affirmations to your water bottle or your laptop. So this is something I tell myself a lot. It's a process. And I also create a lot of work surrounding body positivity. So I have Love the Skin You're In, as well as people who feature body hair and different body types, and that as well. And all of them are really colorful. They usually come on a, when I send them over, they come on a watercolor painted background. So each one's unique, but there's still that handmade element and I think that's mass produced. And here's the QR code to my Etsy shop again. Lastly, I wanted to plug my podcast. So my friend Anu and I started this podcast during the height of the pandemic, and we discuss various parts of our identities as Asian American millennials throughout different topics. And so I discussed my name change in one of the episodes. We talk about dating, we talk about media, we talk about queer representation. Last episode that we released this week, we interviewed the founder of a like dating app, and that particular app is geared towards Asian people. And so we talked about what it was like dating as an Asian person and challenges that happens as well. But we interview a lot of different people. We interview comedians, we've interviewed coffee gurus. We just have a lot of fun with that. So it's available anywhere you listen to podcasts, but there's also a QR code that will take you to the Spotify as well. And that's all I have today. So thank you so much. And thank you, Avi, for putting this on. I love being a part of this.
Thank you so much. This work is amazing. And you know, I love your Zinefest. So hopefully sometime soon you will be able to organize a Zinefest, maybe back in the Bay Area or even in Chicago.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you so much. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to move on to our next presenter. So up next, we have Let me get this together. Sorry, bear with me. Gladys Ochoa. She says, I'm an illustrator who enjoys drawing animals and people in particular situations. They also make magnets, mugs, stickers, tumblers, postcards, uh, zines, prints, notepads. So Gladys does it all, and I'm so happy she can join us. Take it away, Gladys.
Oh goodness, I should have written a longer bio, but yeah, I'm Gladys. That's my name. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road by presenting my screen. Go. That is I, Gladys. I don't know how many times I'll say that today, but yeah, my name is Gladys. I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic artist. I do a lot of different things. I primarily like drawing raccoons, as you can see from my background. I also enjoy drawing different situations that are often really ridiculous. And this, I'll go on to the next slide. So I woke up one day and realized I was Mexican. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually a half Mexican. And so this whole series was based off of last presidency. My cousin was fed up and said, why don't we make a tribute to Mexican snacks? Like, let's go to a drive-in theater. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So here's all these like different Mexicans enjoying their snacks. And these are all available as a poster on my shop or as stickers and soon postcards. And here we have more of them happily dancing around. We got your fruit cup with tahini. We got your Doritos, which by the way, I've never known the name. I just call them like little cartwheels, but it turns out they're called Doritos. Senor Churro. And of course, Mexican Coca-Cola here to join the fun and dancing, just a celebration of culture, street food, and how it evolves. Like when I was a kid, we didn't really have fruit cups. The big trend was gelatin in the Mission. So that being said, it was really nice working on this project. And definitely how my stuff gets made is really interesting. I have an elderly father who takes his sweet time eating, so I'm always drawing when he's eating. And as a result, that leads to me doing it digitally. And then I'm like, oh, this is great. I should put a bow tie on it. So then that turns into cards, which is also available on my shop. And so all my inspirations from animals. I just happen to have so many cat lovers that I've been drawing cats lately instead of my usual dog and raccoon combo. And so if I can draw on it, I will. I've drawn on my wall. I've drawn on my notepads. I've even gotten these mugs that are for sale. And I would sell pieces of my wall, but obviously that's not possible. Shipping would be a pain in the butt. But I freehand draw all these with markers or paintbrushes and just go from paper to pen to paper immediately. I've even started drawing on umbrellas. So as I said, like if I can draw on it, I shall draw on it. And why animals? Well, there's different expressions. I can draw them anxious, I can make them ridiculously silly, or I can make them hyper realistic. So I've always drawn animals to convey my emotions. This little anxious raccoon was based off of a raccoon I saw crossing the street in front of my house one night and looked back at me. So I said, that's it. That's the next icon. And then my next project is actually making knives out of this design of dinosaurs. So I get to express with my styles. Ah, yes, a preview of my next project. So mental health is big for me. And my next project is I've been working on this year. It's about these 3 animals finding a journey for healing on their anxiety. So it deals with a chihuahua, a hamster, and a cat. And they all tell stories about how to ground themselves in anxiety. So this will be on Tapas and Webtoons starting next year. So this is a preview. This is one of the stories we tell in the second page. It's called Little Chicken Was Trapped in Thought. If I don't pass this quiz, I'll fail the next one. Then my family will be mad. They will love me. I'll be shunned. No one will want me. I'll be alone forever. It's a polar chicken stuck ruminating for a while. Not based on a real story. No, of course not. And soon it'll be to the next page. Ah, yes. He sits on a tree and there's little dewdrop plop Huh? The dewdrop had broken the train of worry, leaving little chicken walking with a prep in their step. So this is just describing how outside forces can sometimes remove the train of thought you have, whether it's positive or negative. I know for a fact that I walked and completely ignored a friend before thinking about my homework. And feel free to follow all my art happenings at my studio. Yeah, it's basically all the same except my tapas, which is webcomics, which is the original name drawing. And that's me as a Chihuahua getting overburned. But yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Feel free to buy stuff on my Ko-fi. I make everything handmade, hand cut, organic, free range, and gluten free since we're in California. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love the animals and all the expressions that you're getting from them. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again so that we can move forward to the next artist. So next up, we have Malcolm Johnson. He is an artist interested in horror stories, bringing his take on horror with his comic Tales of Hoodoo Horror and his new webcomic Zombies Anonymous. Welcome, Malcolm.
Hey guys, I feel horribly unprepared for this, but I'll try my best to introduce myself and my comics. My name is Malcolm Johnson. So yeah, like I am a big fan of horror, and zombies is kind of my main interest when it comes to exploring the aspect of horror. And the comic that I'd like to share today, let me see if I can get this share operating. Nope. All right, that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to share my comics by hand and on screen. I do have my comic here. I'm pretty sure it's on, if everyone can see. Okay.
If you'd like to try again, you have time to share on screen if you want to. I'm pretty sure you do have access to that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, is there any way I can share later on, or?
Of course. Take
Okay.
your time, do what you feel.
Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah, let me, if I could just present my, so this comic here I've made, it's called Zombies Anonymous. So it's going to be about zombies going through the post-apocalypse world, but it's told in the perspective of the zombies themselves. Content warning too, just a heads up, there is some gore in my comics here. So it's basically the narration is told through the perspective of the zombies themselves. And it's basically a recovering group for the undead and how they deal with being zombies, how they deal with going through a life of dying and then coming back to life. And I think what's special about this comic and for me is that the process of mental health through exploring how zombies and how we all kind of trying to deal with our own anxieties and our own depression in the same ways that these zombies do. And yeah, I just really wanted to, it started off as kind of like an exercise to just explore how having to do a comic daily, having to do a day-to-day comic. But it just kind of spinballed into this exploration on mental health and recovery and addiction and how these creatures deal with that through their own process of understanding that their strength is not in dying, but coming back to life, and how they can recover through finding connection to each other and finding a community of zombies that they belong to. So this is a kind of like a little zine I have put together of the first chapter. It's about 160 something panels that I'm really proud of, that I just kind of, I'm new to making zines. So this is kind of like one of my second zines I've put together. So I'm really proud of how this turned out. And they're up on my Big Cartel, which I can give you the link after this presentation. And the second comic that I wanted to share is something that I've been in the works, been in the works for a while. It's called Tales of Hoodoo Horror. And this is basically, if anyone's familiar with eerie or creepy or Tales of the Crypt comics, they're short stories based on specific horror situations. Usually they're tales that are cautionary tales, and they deal with the world of hoodoo, which if anyone is familiar with, it's the African-American practice of conjure and root work, which is a combination of Yoruban and African folk magic, as well as Native American magic and root work and Christian beliefs and beliefs in the Bible. So it's kind of like the gumbo of magic is the way that I kind of like to describe it. It's just a hodgepodge of different cultures that created this community and this aspect in this world of witches and witch doctors and conjurers that would use to help the communities and help the people that were around them, because people would come to these conjurers and they would come to these root workers for help when it came to their love life or their health, or to get rid of enemies and to, bring health into their life as well. And if anyone's familiar with creepy and eerie comics, they usually have a horror host. So I created these two horror hosts, where it's Creepy Joe, and I forgot the other guy's name. Well, it's not coming to my mind. But they're two horror hosts that introduce each story. Again, content warning, there's some horror aspects to this comic and some gore aspects, but it took me about a year to put together. There are also advertisements that I created based around each hero. Yeah, this is a comic I'm really proud of. I created it back in from 2019 to 2020 during the pandemic. I put this whole thing together. So the first story is about the Teeth Bandit, who some guy steals this guy's harmonica, and he steals his teeth, so he goes on this journey to get his teeth back. And then the second story is about a gambling dude called Benny Blue Shoes, and he basically gets turned into a rabbit and becomes a lucky rabbit's foot. Which, if you're not familiar with, lucky rabbit's feet are used for gambling and for good luck. And this is the story of his transformation into his own hero. And the last story that I created was about these two vaudeville blues singers and how they fall in love with the one and only Josephine Baker, who's one of my favorite 1920s early vaudeville and singers. She's produced musicals and different vaudeville acts that have kind of inspired a lot of different aspects in the African American vaudeville scene. And it's about them using these heroes called mojo hands, and these mojo hands help them try to seduce Josephine Baker, but things go wrong within the story, and the mojo hands come to life and kind of exact the revenge on the people who made them. So that's basically my presentation. Yes, so you can find my work at hardtissue.bigcartel.com. That's where most of my work is shown. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, you're just gonna take all my money. I love horror and I love all your work. It's so good. And we'll put the links up in the chat so people can figure out where to find you. So they'll find you. All right. So thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen again, and we will move on to the next person. It's Vanessa Zucker. Vanessa is an artist and storyteller, ravenous for stories that take unique moments in individuals' life and relate them back to broader human experience. Her self-published visual books, Welcome to the Village, Attention Passengers, and So Silicon Valley, recount the journey of a 3-time Peace Corps volunteer, poke fun at being crammed into a packed train, and document dealing with sexism in the heart of the tech world, respectively. Welcome to Vanessa.
Thank you very much, AB. Let me share my screen. All right. Hey everyone, I'm Vanessa, and if you like exploring the weird little things about places that make them unique, you're going to want to join me now. So for the last 3 years, my work has been about finding shared humanity through shared experiences, oftentimes connected to places. So my 3 books are about Silicon Valley, public transportation, and living in various countries across Africa. The goal is to introduce you to ways of living that you may or may not have experienced before, but it still feels familiar to you somehow. I mean, after all, we're all so much more similar than we are different, which means we can all relate to situations like being crammed in a place with a bunch of other people and there's a crying baby, or maybe there's something gross on the floor that you're all trying to avoid without much space to do so. Or in the case of my newest book, Welcome to the Village, we can all relate in some way to wanting to make a positive impact on the people that we meet, or learning something about ourselves by experiencing something that's very different from our usual everyday lives. This book follows my dear friend Alistair as he joins Peace Corps after losing his job, and he ends up doing 3 tours across Rwanda, Ethiopia, and Uganda. 3 tours is very, very unusual for a Peace Corps volunteer. So it's full of adventure, tales of hilarious and terrifying animal encounters, scenes of typical rural home life, and even violence and death. So this is one of my favorite pages in the book. Even my beta readers in Nigeria and Kenya told me that the inclusion of this page transforms the book from being a work of nonfiction to a work of fiction, because there's no way he could have possibly survived this encounter. But Alistair swears it's true, and the people in the nearby village were aware of this very rare leopard wandering around the area. You can see some pictures of the real us on the right side. So if you are interested in celebrating and rolling your eyes at public transportation, you can see Attention Passengers on the left. It is the coloring book for your commute. It highlights the interesting people, places, sounds, or in this case, smells of all kinds of public transportation. On the right, we've got So Silicon Valley. That is my story of an artist lady's view of tech bro culture. For example, I worked at a startup where I was supposed to be in charge of marketing, but our team was so small that I ended up repairing audio equipment and registering people for events. Or also, this happened like way more often than I would ever believe, but meeting these tech millionaires who know other tech millionaires who were like the leaders of these household name tech companies, it was a pretty weird experience. And this is how you can get in touch. Feel free to take a screenshot of this slide or scan that QR code at the bottom. It contains links to anything and everything you would want to do. But to summarize, Welcome to the Village is available on Amazon. Attention Passengers in So Silicon Valley are on Store NV, plus some stickers that I made to accompany the books. I'll give you a little secret. There's a link on the QR code. It says something like totes and merch, and it's brand new. I just dropped it in, just dropped the merch yesterday. So you can get things like tote bags, socks, cards, zipper pouches, all kinds of things. And then finally, I'd love to connect on Instagram. You can follow me with my newest work, which is me picking up my drawing tablet for the first time in 8 years and relearning how to use that thing. So thanks, and I hope to see you around.
Thank you so much. Gosh, it's so well drawn. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next exhibitor. Next up, we have Joseph Patton. Joseph Patton is an illustrator and educator working in Oakland and specializing in digital and hand-drawn images through color, pattern, and texture. His playful art aims to examine the intersection between the natural world and masculinity. Previous work includes children's books, comics, animated TV shows, and features in galleries. Welcome, Joseph.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Avi, so much for letting me participate. And I will share my screen. All right, and please let me know if you have trouble seeing it. Yeah, and a big thank you for the opportunity to participate in this event again, and to be able to connect with the community artists in the East Bay. I think, like so many of us, I'm really in search of more connection, kind of in this isolating time. I'm an illustrator, animator, and teacher. My work focuses on a number of topics, including the relationship between humans and the natural world, and a number of other things. And as Gladys and Malcolm's work also explores, my work is a lot moved into kind of studying and looking at struggles with mental health and isolation that many experience, especially being so exacerbated by the pandemic. My role as an educator strongly informs my art practice. The school where I teach emphasizes the importance of nurturing social and emotional intelligence, not just focusing on academic growth. And as a child, I would have benefited enormously if I'd been taught how to become aware of my feelings and to manage my emotions, if I'd been taught how to cultivate compassion for both myself and others, and also learned how to work through interpersonal conflicts. And that's a whole lot to tackle in the art I make. And definitely it's a work in progress, learning how to create images that communicate the underlying stories I wish to tell. And then just about the media that I use, everything in this presentation is rendered using an Apple Pencil and iPad and the software Procreate, something I'm relatively new to, and I'm sure many of y'all are familiar with. But I also make art with traditional media, especially ink and watercolor. So here are two examples of the children's work I do. For many years, I've been teaching gardening classes to kindergartners through fifth grade students about food justice and where our food comes from and the importance of caring for nature. And a few years ago, I had the opportunity to self-publish a children's book about this connection. And I'm really interested in collaborating with others to create more books along this theme of our relationship to nature. And these two images are part of a series using colorful patterns and shapes to speak to the curiosity and openness of children. This work is also about the possibility for children and adults to feel joy and autonomy as they learn, aspects that our educational system so often fails to nurture. And this series also speaks to the integral role of rest and especially boredom in fostering imagination and creativity. Here, these images are part of a collection of work about the struggles with depression many experience, especially in the face of social environmental issues of the present day and past. And a lot of my work connected to the gardening work I do really focuses on the absence of access to affordable and healthy food. Next up, this is kind of another series also connected to the same things, mental health. Here I chose to use hands to represent the feelings of loss of control and of grasping for something firm to hold on to. In the image on the left, the figure sits alone with the torrent of emotion swirling above, and the image on the right shows the figure in what's kind of depicted as like a sea of feelings, both holding on to this roiling ocean and reaching up to be rescued from it. I've also worked on a couple comics and would love to do more, as all of these amazing artists are doing here that I'm getting to meet today. These images are from a collaboration with the writer Jeff Wilson about the Antifa movement. This comic was part of the Fight Fascism issue in World War III Illustrated, a book series of political comics published by AK Press. based in Chico, California. And then the next up is, it's just a little, I have a video. I also try and do some animation, but I don't know if I have much time today to share, but this is a still from the animation that I most recently did that I really invite you to check out. Would love to hear your thoughts about on my Instagram page. And then, and I'll pause this here, sorry. So that's it. I know that's maybe a rapid fire through this, but I appreciate you taking the time to hear about my work. And I would love to deepen my ties with the art community here and to find ways to collaborate and engage in further political work and to use my time and privileges to support the work of other artists. So I'm happy to talk about this more. And please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you again for this opportunity. AV, I wish all of you well.
Thank you so much for being here. Your work is amazing. And I really do appreciate the community work that you do. We love sharing new artists, like I said, and we can't get enough of artists who are willing to give their time. So I really do. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen once again.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And so next up, we have Yoko Oke. Yoko is a New Yorker who's been living in the Bay Area of California for the past 10 years. She makes a comic every day as part of her daily drawing project, which began in 2018. She's a musician who has been writing a song almost every week since late 2019. Also in the works is a documentary about her Japanese heritage. You can see more of her daily comics as well as unreleased music, videos, and drawings if you become her patron on Patreon for as little as $1. She also posts details from said comics and other drawings on Instagram. Thank you, Yoko. And you're up. Thank you so much.
First of all, this is so cool to see everyone's work. I'm really impressed by everyone, and I feel really lucky to be part of this. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Hi, my name's Yoko Ojikikuchi. For short, I mostly go by Yoko Oke. A little bit of background, I grew up drawing for fun. At some point between middle school and college, I lost my enthusiasm for it. I focused more on photography and music for many years. And then in 2018, I started drawing every day and posting the drawings on Instagram. I kind of see drawing every day as sort of a mental health exercise / spiritual practice, and it's kind of developed over the years. The first slide, this slide is the cover of the first zine that I made of my daily drawings, and it features my very first daily drawing. I'm wearing a mask on Bart because it was smoky that fall, as you might remember. I got so much positive feedback about this drawing that I decided to do another one and then another one. And eventually I had enough drawings to put this zine together. These are a few of my very early daily drawings, and they're mostly from photo references, mostly around the Bay Area and hanging out just like kind of my daily life illustrated. And eventually, yeah, I put together that zine, but first I had some art shows. This picture was taken at Asta Muerte in Oakland. This is my very first art show in March 2019. This picture is me and my friend Jessica looking goofy. The prints hanging behind us are all from my earliest drawings, and they are all screen prints that I made at the Grease Diner in Oakland. And yeah, that was my very first show. I was pretty excited about it. And so I continued to make more screen prints, and they kind of got more developed and turned into this series of 2-color screen prints that were also mostly based around my life and just my daily habits. This show was actually at Black Spring Coffee in Oakland in September of 2019. And it just felt like a really big deal for me to like have 2 art shows in 1 year since not drawing for so long. In early 2020, I switched to using, these are like alcohol-based marker drawings. And it was actually really practical because during the pandemic, I lost access to the screen printing studio I was working out of. So these are just some examples of more daily scenes around the Bay that I felt really inspired by. And then in the middle of 2020, I got a tablet, so I started using Procreate as well. And so the show on the top is actually a progression, or like you can see the progression of like it starts off on the left, there's pictures that I drew in marker, and then you can kind of see on the right I have a couple of digital drawings that I did. Excuse me, I'm feeling a little I gotta breathe. All right, so on the left of the show on the top, which was a show I had at Cafe 78 in San Francisco, you can see that there's a mural that I did on the wall back there. And that was the very first mural I was ever hired to make. So this is like a new venture for me that I did this year, and I feel really proud of it. Below, I think there's a link to my YouTube channel where I have some videos that I've made, including a documentary about my family, and then also one that's sort of like behind the mural about this mural. And I realized that I have not talked at all about the comics that I make, so I'm going to switch to a slide, which is a kind of smorgasbord of comics and things that I've made over the last few years. So the top left is from the first comic that I showed you at the beginning, which was called Plica Fimbriata #1. The top right is from Plica Fimbriata #2. And these are all, those two, like that series is all from my like daily drawings and kind of autobiographical comics that I've made. The lower left is a comic I made for a zine of maps that I put out earlier this year. And then the bottom right is a comic about the show Melrose Place, which was my first favorite show, which is pretty unusual, I think, but that was for a zine that my friend Jessica made. So last slide is a picture of the two zines that I put out in 2021. And yeah, they're available on my website. I kind of, at this point, some of them are being made to print or made to order. But yeah, this has just been a really, really great couple of years for me as far as finally getting myself out there as an independent artist. So thank you very much for having me, and my links are at the bottom of the slide.
Thank you so much for sharing. Your work is amazing. I love your drawing style, and you share some of the similar stories that I do because I like to draw every day and also document places in the Bay Area too. So awesome work.
It's been really nice.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. And so next up we have Yael Levy. Leah Yael Leve is my full name. I prefer that you call me Yael. I'm a mixed media artist, storyteller, printmaker, and art teacher based in Berkeley, California. I draw, paint, collage, and write. I often self-publish my work and sometimes print and bind it by hand. I love playing with forms and format and mixing digital and tactile techniques. One quick thing I want to say, thank you so much to Yael for leading our screen printing demo. She printed our posters for the Oakland Creates 2021 logo. So she's also printed new merch. She's printed a t-shirt for us. So if you're interested in that, leave a comment or DM me, or you can go to my Etsy to pick up a print or a new t-shirt. I'll share more about that later. And so welcome, Yael.
Thank you. And yeah, and if you have extra time at the end, I'm at the studio, so I can show the stuff we made too.
Awesome.
I think I might be the only one who made this choice to not talk, but read. And I didn't make so much work this year. Maybe why I made this choice. I was just gonna read this comic I made that's kind of a process that led me to the one screen print I've made this year. So instead of talking, I think I'm just gonna do that.
Awesome. Can't wait.
I hope it's not too long. I tried to read it out loud to myself the other day and it was 4 minutes, so.
Take your time, we have plenty of time.
Okay. Let's just make it full screen, right? Full screen. Okay, whoa, that was really slow. Computer did that very slowly. Okay. So this is me thinking about Palestine in 2021. Almost over this year, but it's been interesting. Oh, why is this so hard? Why do people hate so much? People are risking their lives in great pain to fight this. The least I can do is use my voice. Uh-oh, this is blocking my view. How do I solve that? Shit. I'm just gonna, I know what that, sorry, I can't see that text box because the Zoom stuff is on it. But back in
you
May.
can move yourself. You can move yourself around. You can move your picture around if you need to.
No, I don't think I can. Never mind. I'm just gonna keep going. Back in May,
Okay.
when I guess maybe I can exit the full screen for a minute. Back in May, when violence in Palestine got so bad again that it was making international headlines, I found myself confronting these questions once again. As an Israeli American who is also ethnically Arab, Yemeni, I feel morally obligated to use my voice in this matter. I often feel shame around not being louder about this, but my nature is not loud. Over the years, when asked for my perspective, I've been saying the same thing again and again. Sadly, the relevance does not seem to subside. Between the Jordan and the sea, everyone is post-traumatic. Why can't we try to heal the trauma instead of inflicting more trauma? This is the thing I think most people don't get, and the thing that makes me most furious and sad. There's like a little house right there. That's where my home is. It's far from the fires, but never mind. I can't stop refreshing the news pages. It's all just awful. I'm constantly disappointed and ashamed of my homeland. It's been so bad for so long that many people have lost all hope for change ever happening. But some keep fighting for justice. They protested the Bibi regime every Saturday until they finally were able to replace him. Could there still be hope for this war-torn land? Also, please shut the fuck up with Israel's right to defend itself. That right is being abused and should not be left unchecked. We have to transcend our generational traumas. It's time to break the cycle. It's not good for anyone. Really losing it. This particular cycle of violence was totally avoidable and political. This hurt my heart so much I could physically feel it in my chest. The sooner we free Palestine, the better off we all will be. None of us are free until we're all free. We've all heard this many times. It doesn't matter what you call this piece of land. What matters is that you treat humans with dignity, regardless of their skin colors, appearance, opinions, or genders, everywhere. No one human matters more than another. We are, in fact, one. So I wanted to speak up, but it felt hard. So it felt so hard to find the words. So I decided to paint a Palestine sunbird. Oops. The Palestine sunbird is the closest we have to a hummingbird over there. A bright splash of blue light passing through quickly. Most Israelis, even avid birders, don't know that's the bird's name in English. They know it as tzofit, or a honeysuckler. The Palestine sunbirds know nothing of our human boundaries. All they know is sweet nectar and sunshine. If you ask me, this isn't really a Palestine versus Israel conflict. It's a conflict between those who want to keep the war going and those who don't, on all sides of the fence. Unfortunately, warmongers are always louder and more aggressive. The time has come for light warriors to rise up and spread more love, until the love is so strong that hate just crumbles in its presence. We must keep hope. So with all these thoughts and feelings, I approached the design of this screen print. Can we normalize talking about Palestine when it's not making international news headlines? bring forth the beauty of the land. It's all the same land, different names, land of milk and honey, the Holy Land, unique in so many ways. It belongs to everyone and no one. We're all reflections of each other. Choose love, choose light, be bright. Remember, we are one. This is all. I feel like this is half just like pep talk to myself, but to everyone. So that's like that part. This was my like stealth Free Palestine statement. I printed it on t-shirts and bandanas, and I've been giving away all the profits to Physicians for Human Rights in Israel. It supports people in Israel and in occupied territories, mostly like undocumented immigrants within Israel. And then they work in occupied territories, mostly supporting health again. I also most recently printed it on paper. So now I have paper prints in addition to bandanas and shirts. But I'm very bad about website at the moment. This is my website on Instagram. I'm Elifly. Currently, I feel like if you want a shirt or a bandana, you should like message me. And I promise actually to make a post this week because I'm gonna get whatever stock I have left from one of the sales I participated in, and then I'll know what I have to be able to sell the rest. But right now I'm a bit like I don't really know what's going on in terms of stock. I know I have some stuff. And then I also have like all my zines from previous years. You can kind of see on my website. I feel like I probably used up my 5 minutes. So yeah, I don't need to talk about that. And I can stop my screen share.
You're fine. You've got plenty of time. In fact, if you have a few moments, can you show a couple of the t-shirts you printed so people can purchase those on my Etsy, which is storm1.etsy.com. So it's STORM.
Yeah, funny. I had like a moment of like, wait, my t-shirts or your t-shirts?
The tie-dye t-shirts for Oakland Creates. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, it's no worries. Thank you so much.
I love my like new Zoom background. It's reorganized here. How's that? There's one.
That is awesome. So if you'd like to purchase one, go to storm1.etsy.com. All of the money will be going to produce Oakland Creates.
Did you put posters on this on the website too?
I will be putting posters up and then giving some away today. In a couple of minutes, I'll be asking a couple pop culture trivia questions. You can win a print. If you have a couple prints, you can show them. I don't have them in my hand.
Yeah. It's like
sweet. So these are the amazing prints that Yael made during the screen printing demo. Really love the Rasta colors and the split fountain. I learned a new thing, split fountain screen that she used.
Yeah, I think that's good, right?
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah. The one, well, yeah, whatever.
Okay, so I'll share my screen again really quickly. So if we have any questions from folks watching on YouTube, now's an awesome time to ask. But I will go into a couple questions, and artists, zine makers, you guys can answer these questions too. So actually, let me stop sharing my screen so you can see what you can win. Let's see. Can you see my face or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna, you can win the watercolor pencils by Stadler, and then a set of 4 samples from Arteza markers, which are really awesome markers. So there'd be 4 different colors: pink, turquoise, and a gray, and another blue. And then of course, if you leave a comment, you can win the sketchbook, Oakland Creates sketchbook. And then I'll also be giving away stickers, Oakland Creates stickers as well. And then my favorite, which I haven't even tried, I'd love to try, the Tombow multi-liners. It's a set of 3. So first question, and this is for the Stadler watercolor pencils, and I'll throw in a sketchbook as well. So name a hip hop artist who has a successful shoe line, and he may or may not refer to himself as a sort of Jesus figure. You can just put it in the chat or the comments. Name a hip hop artist that has a shoe line, and he also refers to himself as sort of a Jesus figure. Do we have any answers, James? I'll just move on to the next question if we don't have any answers. So like I said, I'll be giving away Tombow pins and markers. So let's see. Name an actress who played the first Black scientist or crew member on the TV show Star Trek. Yeah, you can answer too, Yoko. So name the actress who played the first scientist or crew member on the TV show Star Trek. If you know that actress name, just put it in the chat or the comments. And for more sketchbooks, stickers. All right, so I have your address, Vagina Jenkins, and Whitney, message me your address, and this Nichelle Nichols is right for this Star Trek cast member. So name a movie named after a holiday. Name a movie named after a holiday. Any movie named after a holiday. And there are quite a few. Awesome. So who was the first to answer? Joseph. Yeah, Joseph sent me your mailing address, and yeah, he said
All
Groundhog
right, happy
Day.
to. All right.
Yes. Groundhog Day is an awesome movie too. So also next question. Name a comic book convention or Comic-Con not in San Diego. Name a comic book convention or Comic-Con not in San Diego. Malcolm, WonderCon. Sweet. That's a good one. And message me your mailing address and I will send your prizes out to you. And let's see, I have a couple more questions. This is a funny one. Name a city the football team, the Raiders, has played in other than Oakland. Name a city the Raiders have played in other than Oakland. And that is also for Vegas, Yoko. Yes, so you win the watercolor pencils by Stadler. I should probably be writing these down. Nice. And then just one more before we sign off. Name a rapper or singer that has their own fast food sandwich or meal. And there's three that I know of. Name a singer or rapper who has their own fast food sandwich or dipping sauce or meal. Leave that comment, leave it in the comments or chat it to me. So there's three that I can think of off the top of my head. And you can name the restaurant if you can think of the restaurant. There's a couple different restaurants. And a new one that just came out for the holidays, which is ridiculous. Travis Scott. Yes, Joseph. Woo! Okay. So I'll be sending you a couple things.
I'm
nice.
lucky. All right.
Yeah, Mariah Carey has a meal now. And Megan Thee Stallion has a meal. That's so crazy that it's kind of good they're making money that way. So thank you guys all for joining us. Any questions in YouTube, James, before we sign off? And anything you guys want to say before we sign off? We can kind of do a round robin and share your social media again. If you'd like to, I'm going to popcorn over to Vanessa and then popcorn to the next person to share your social media.
Yeah, sure. So my Instagram is Nessa Drawn, and everybody who has presented today has blown me away. Malcolm, you want to go next?
Yeah. So my Instagram is at 105 PUTTY. That's 105 putty. And y'all just rock, and I'm just amazed at everyone's work, and thank you for letting me share as well.
And what is your store? Because I definitely want to get the new zine and the comic book.
Oh, that's at hardtissue.bigcartel.com. That's hardtissue.bigcartel.com.
All right. Popcorn to someone else, please.
Popcorn Yoko.
Hi, I just put my Instagram in my name. It's at Yoko_OK. And then I have a website, which is Yoko OK, but without the AY. So it's yoko-ok.com. I had it in my slideshow too, and I can put it in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Right now, we're actually putting them in the chat in YouTube for you as well.
Oh, cool. Amazing.
Next up, do you want popcorn?
Did Whitney
Yes.
go? Whitney didn't go, right?
Yeah, Whitney, your social media links.
Oh, sure. So my Instagram is at Whitney Kitty Art, and for the podcast building community, it's at Build Community, and it's COMMI and then TEA. My Etsy is Matchy Cats Press, all one word, and that will be open until the 25th, and then I'll go on vacation for a week, and then I'll open it again.
Sweet, thank you so much. And who do you want to popcorn to?
Let's who hasn't gone? Is Gladys still on here?
She left, I think.
Okay. How about Yale?
So my Instagram is Yaelefly, which is YAELEFLY. And then my website is leahyaellevy.com. There is a store on there, the functionality of which is somewhat mysterious. You can try that and see what happens, or message me. Pretty responsive to messages. And yeah, I'm gonna try and like take some orders for stuff and figure it out over the next few days.
Sweet.
There's links to all the other social media that's less active on the website.
Great.
Joseph.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. And so we're going to take a quick bio break for about 15.
Wait, did you do Joseph for this popcorn round?
No, but
Did you go, Joseph?
I'll squeeze in. It's all good.
Oh no, thank you. Sorry, thank you.
I appreciate that. I posted in my chat my Instagram handle and my website. And yeah, there are prints for sale through a link, a print on demand site through my Instagram chat. But yeah, thank y'all again. It's so nice to be able to meet all of you. And Avi, thank you so much for organizing this.
You're so welcome. So his Instagram is Smiling June, and
June.
website is josephkpatton.com. All right, thank you guys. Hopefully you'll get as many sales as you can. Have a great holiday if I don't see you. Like I said, we're going to take a quick bio break, 20 minutes, and we'll be back ready to go with the next group. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.